though White is the face of the UFC, Stephen A., it is an entity owned by Endeavor. What type of discipline should Dana face?
Well, my immediate response to that is whatever discipline he should face is the kind of discipline he would impose upon someone he oversees, because that would be consistent with who he is.
On ESPN, Stephen A. Smith faltered on the video of Dana White committing an act of domestic violence against his wife, per Ariel Helwani on the Dan Le Batard Show.
I just wanted to say one thing, and I feel like I need to get it off my chest, and I hate doing this sort of thing. I thought you were going to ask me about it, but you didn't, so I just want to get it off my chest. I saw the first take clip of them talking about Dana White, and I just want to say, when I was at ESPN, very few people I felt like were like true allies to me. You were probably at the top of the list, and Stephen A. was a very close second. And I've known Molly Karen for a very long time. I feel like I need to get off my chest as the MMA guy that I was very disappointed when I saw that clip.
Dana White is not just somebody that's connected in the world of sports. He's a friend. I love the guy personally. So this is a very hard subject for me. We talk all the time. We certainly connected briefly since this happened. Mm-hmm. He knew there's no way on earth that I wasn't going to talk about it. My heart goes out to his family because this is a very, very embarrassing situation. He says it has never, ever happened before. He's completely ashamed and utterly disgusted with himself that he finds himself in this situation, that he would ever have done such a thing to a woman he's been married to for 30 years. Who's the mother of his 3 children, and he makes no excuses for it. And I think it's important to point that out. I also think it's important to point out that she validates what he asserts, that it's never happened before, that it was completely out of character, and she even pointed to the fact that they were out and they were drinking and all of that other stuff as well. In the end, he's not making any excuses. It's certainly not for me nor anybody out there to make an excuse, because particularly within the times that we're living in and with all the things that we've learned and the inordinate amount of times we've had to address subjects like this, we have to maintain consistency in pointing out, you do not put your hands on a woman if you are a man. You do not do it. Dana White knows that. And, all I can say is that, again, he has spoken out against men who put their hands on women before, and whatever punishment you would exact under these circumstances to somebody else is what he should apply to himself.
I think they went very easy on him. And I say that because they don't go easy on people. They're the truth tellers. They're the ones who keep it real. That's the show that I look. When Kyrie does something, I know that Stephen A. has relationships with NBA players. He keeps it real. He tells it like it is. And to see them with the puppy dog face saying, I love Dana White and he's got a beautiful family, and we don't judge him in his lowest moments. We don't judge people in their lowest moments. Excuse me. That's all we do as pundits. We judge them in their high moments and their low moments. We were just judging Kyrie. We would judge everyone in their lowest moments. Did we not judge Ray Rice in his low moment? Did we not judge Ray Lewis in his, name one, we judge him. So I felt like I don't understand why. Again, I don't understand why this happens, why he gets this pass. But when I saw that, I was like, all right, what you're telling me is if you're friends with the guy, you're going to give him a pass, because I can assure you, as a Knicks fan and as someone who likes that show and respects Stephen A. tremendously, if James Dolan is on camera doing that exact same thing, is he saying the same thing? Is he saying you punish him the way you would punish your players? Or is he saying this man needs to go? This man needs to be held accountable. This man needs to be punished. What do you think? And so I look to the mainstream media. You guys have done a fantastic job to say these things that we in our little MMA bubble don't have the reach to get out there. And when I saw that, and I saw the tone, and I saw the, we love him and he's a great family man and this and that, and, we wish them the best, like something, like he is a victim. I was like, golly, is this really happening right now? Am I really watching this? I was disappointed. And I say that with the utmost respect.
They talked about being drinking heavily.
Yeah.
When you're under the influence, not shining moments, often people don't make their best decisions. So in that sense, it's a cautionary tale.
Yep.
And in terms of it being an isolated incident, I've known Dana since I was 22. I have the utmost respect for him.
Yes.
And I don't judge people by their worst moment. I agree with you on that punishment part. And the other piece that I just want to say, as a woman, it was also his wife's hands on him. So no one should be putting their hands on anyone.
Okay.
Male, female, female, male.
Well, like I said, you're absolutely right. I don't disagree. I have nothing to add other than I just think it's important that if you're going to sit on this platform, you owe it to your audience to be honest, to be honest and forthcoming.
The company that owns UFC, Ariel, is Stephen A's agent.
Friends.
But his
So if
agent.
you've got friends in high places, then I guess you're going to get a pass when it comes to these things. The way I was taught, Dan, and I have a feeling we all were taught the same. You don't put your hands on a woman. And guess who believes in that? And guess who has said that? Dana freaking White.
You know, he knows that we're on this air. He knew ahead of time because I reached out to him to let him know I would be talking about this this morning. He knows that he crossed a line that he has never crossed before and that he swears he will never cross again. And he's incredibly ashamed of himself. And that's just where we are right now. So
But I'm not
that's
a
all I
part
can
of
say.
the whole cancel culture, and I don't
Right.
judge people by their worst moment. And he has a beautiful family.
Yes, he does.
And I wish the best for them
Yes.
moving forward.
Yeah.
Helwani then rips Dana White further.
Why, as of 2-3 hours ago, if you look at his Instagram stories, is he on there with one of the Nelk boys promoting the fact that he just had a great night at the Red Rock Casino in Las Vegas gambling? Does this look like a guy who's embarrassed? This is 2-3 days ago. This is the mother of his children. This is his wife of 30 years. Does this look like a guy who's embarrassed? God forbid something like that happened to you or I, Dan. Would you be on your Instagram promoting that you were up all night gambling with someone half your age? I don't think so. And so all these people are embarrassing themselves. The fans are embarrassing themselves. The vocal minority, because there's a lot of them who don't agree with these actions. The fighters are embarrassing themselves. And we're waiting to see what Endeavor is going to do.
A few points to hit on. ESPN has been a broadcasting partner of the UFC since 2018. The network signed a 5-year deal with the promotion that was extended by 2 more years in 2019 as the UFC continues to provide tons of content for TV and digital. White subsequently signed a 7-year deal with the UFC to remain president. Since the video was released, ESPN has been criticized for failing to properly condemn White's act of domestic violence. MMA reporter and ex-ESPNer Helwani slammed their coverage of White, citing a double standard in how the media views the UFC president compared to an executive from another sport. And here's the thing. Before having Helwani on, Dan Le Batard, an ex-ESPNer as well, has a lot of inside baseball on this, would talk about it on his show. And he would say, usually with these things, if there is a video and there is mainstream media pressure and ESPN is the one most capable of applying mainstream media pressure, but they have an uncomfortable relationship with Dana White that ran off the one journalist that they had in the sport, Ariel Helwani. And we ran into it because Dana has a great deal of power at ESPN, Le Batard said. How is that story going to be covered? How is that story supposed to be covered? Usually, that video to a person of power is hugely damaging. Everywhere in sports. But this guy works on his own plane with an outfit and with power that doesn't come with a great deal of governance, Le Batard concluded. Like, who is there to punish him? And if it happened with Goodell or an owner, can you imagine it'd be quiet? Because I don't imagine if we had video of that, it'd be quiet. After White struck his wife, some focus went into what would occur with Dana White's newest venture, a slap fighting league called Power Slap. It was set to premiere January 11th, but has been pushed back 1 week to January 18th, when the New York Times reached out for comment from Endeavor, who owns the UFC, and also, of course, ESPN, who they are in partnership with, both declined. When Dana White was asked for comment, in a rarity, he declined. The only press he has done has been with TMZ. And Ariel Helwani has thoughts on that.
What was embarrassing about the interview was the way TMZ handled it. Now, we know TMZ and Dana White are in cahoots, and I've talked about TMZ on this show before, but Harvey and the other guy sitting there and being, oh, Dana, we hear that this is a place where alcohol flows. And Dana, do you even remember anything? They were offering him softballs. They were offering him outs, and he actually wasn't taking them. So actually, I'd say kudos to him on that regard. Kudos to him for not taking the outs that they were offering. Their behavior in that interview, to me, was quite frankly embarrassing. They were trying to say, hey, Dana, we're going to put this out. We're going to give you a chance to respond. We're going to treat you very, 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 very nicely with kid gloves, and you're going to come out looking and smelling like roses. The truth is, in that interview, in that clip, he said what he had to say, and I think he did a good job of not making excuses and owning up to it. Those two guys, to me, were embarrassing. They were trying so hard to help him and to offer him these layups that they embarrassed themselves.
And here's the thing, via the Times once more, the UFC has never fully articulated a policy on domestic violence and over the years has handled such situations unevenly. There's one thing that you never bounce back from, and that's putting your hands on a woman, White said in 2014 in response to Ray Rice. Been that way in the UFC since we started here. You don't bounce back from putting your hands on a woman. And to that, I would say, not completely true if you follow their history on this very subject, however. The New York Times also reached out to Stephen A. Smith, who is represented by WME, which, like the UFC, is owned by Endeavor, and he didn't respond to requests for comment made through both ESPN and Endeavor. However, one writer who works for ESPN would tweet this. We've been told to not write anything incendiary on social media about the Dana White situation, and I understand why and have abided by that. I just ask y'all to understand that some of us at ESPN do not have as soft a take as this on domestic violence.